Hey, welcome to this week's Wild Bout Hunting segment, folks. Today we're going to talk a little bit about mock scrapes. This is a great thing that you can do to help you get ready for the upcoming deer seasons. What a mock scrape is you're basically doing a social attractant to bring deer into your area to help them get comfortable with the surroundings, have an area where they're going to come to meet or check on a regular basis. Deer will scrape a lot as they get into the rut, but they do scrape year round. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a mock scrape to help get them coming into the areas where we're going to be hunting along with the food plots that we planted. So I've got a couple of things here that we're going to be using as tools. Obviously I've got my Tenzing backpack that's got some stuff in here that I'm going to be using to carry all the equipment back. But more importantly, whenever I go back into the woods, and especially when I'm making mock scrapes, I'm going to be wearing rubber boots. Okay, we want to keep human odor as minimal as possible. So I've got my muck boots here. I'm going to make sure I spray down really well with our Bucks and Beards Stealth Odor Eliminator to kind of mask any human scent that I might be creating. And also I've got a couple products here from Bucks and Beards. This is your Bucks and Beards Buckshots, and this is for your scrape blend when you're doing your mock scrape. So this is going to help in creating that attractant that's going to bring them into the scrape. And then also what a deer will do is they'll urinate in the scrape, and that's kind of a little calling card. Now they're not in estrus and they're not in the rut yet, so we don't want to use estrus scent. So we've got what's called All Season Allure from Bucks and Beards. It's just a regular deer urine that you can use year round, and I'm going to put that in the scrape. And then I've also got some All Season Allure in a couple of buck cages, and I'm going to hang them on a limb above the scrape, and this will last for about 2 weeks, and then I'll check it again. And then one thing else I want to do is I usually am going to take a wire tie or a zip tie or even a bread tie and tie that buck cage onto the limb so it doesn't fall off or a squirrel doesn't run off with it. So these are the things that we're going to be using. Come on back to the woods. We'll show you how we do a mock scrape. Okay, well, we've made it back to where I want to do the mock scrape. So I'm going to get my gear off here, and this is the tree where we're going to put it. What I like to do is look for an area where the deer are naturally coming through a runway, and we've got a runway coming out of our food plot into the woods, and we have a muddy tree stand hanging right over my shoulder right here. So we're going to make this into a mock scrape. So what I want to do is I need to get my buck cage out, my Buckshots, and a little bit more All Season Allure. I'm just going to set those off to the side here. And what I use is you don't want to use your hands to scrape away the dirt, because what you're doing is you're creating an area where the deer is going to scrape away. All right, they're going to clear a bare spot on the ground underneath a limb. Now what they use for this limb for is they're going to use this. They've got secretion glands around their eyes. They're going to rub those secretion glands all over this, kind of mark their territory. A buck with a doe, he's saying, hey, I'm here. Let's go out on a date sometime, okay? So that's why we're going to hang scent up here with the buck cage. On the ground, they're going to come in here and they have hocks on the insides of their rear legs. They'll urinate down there into the dirt, and that's another calling sign. So this is a common area. We want to make this more of a common area. So what I do is I take my antlers and I'm going to scratch away the dirt that's down here, the leaves and stuff, just like a deer would, okay, using their paw. And we're going to scrape it away towards the camera here, okay? That indicates the direction that these deer are traveling. The way they're kicking, they're traveling the opposite direction. So if they're kicking it towards the camera, that means they're walking this direction away from us. And that'll bring them in off of there and hopefully for a 10-yard shot. So here's how we do that. Okay, so I already took the liberty of clearing away some underbrush, limbs and stuff here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our antlers and we're going to kick this away just like a deer would. And usually they'll widen it out back here. Okay. All right, now once we've got that done, We're going to take our buckshots here from Bucks and Beards, and I'm just going to sprinkle some buckshots on the ground, kind of indicate some scent. All right. And then the next thing I'm going to do is pull out my buck cage, and we're going to hang that from a limb overhead. Okay, so what we want to do is find a limb that we can hang this off on. And right here, we've got a limb that's already been chewed by deer. So we're going to pop our buck cage open, slide that right on there, and pull down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the rest of the all-season allure that's in my buck cage vial that didn't absorb into the beads, and I'm going to dump that onto the ground here. And then I'm just going to take my bread tie, go through the loop, tie that off. And there you have it, folks. Mock scrape, trying to make a common area where these deer are going to come to on a consistent basis, especially when they get into the season, to the rut part of the season. Hang a buck cage, check these things every 2 weeks, refresh them. Now throughout the season, you'll probably have some deer checking this and coming here and hopefully give you a 10-yard shot. We'll see you next week somewhere in the hunting woods.